And right now it's the NBC4 News at 5 with Chuck and Colleen.
All right, Carolyn and Michael, and we begin with this breaking news. A jury in downtown LA recommending the death penalty for the man convicted of torturing and murdering this 8-year-old boy, Gabriel Fernandez. Good evening, everyone. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Chuck Henry. NBC4's Ted Chen is live for us in downtown Los Angeles with reaction to today's decision. Ted?
Colleen, Chuck, the killer had no reaction. He stared straight ahead as he had throughout most of the trial, but his mother had something to say to the men and women who decided her son should die for his crime.
Los que la hicieron y los que decidieron.
The mother of 37-year-old Isara Aguirre also saying God will hold the jury accountable for sentencing her son to death. Aguirre staring straight ahead as the sentence was read.
We, the jury in the above entitled action, having found the defendant, Isara Aguirre, guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree, and having found the special circumstance to be true, fix the penalty at death.
The 7-woman, 5-man jury found that Aguirre should be executed for the torture and murder of 8-year-old Gabriel Fernandez. Last month, it found Aguirre guilty of first-degree murder with special circumstances. Deliberations on his sentence began on Monday, with the jury at first seemingly divided, asking the judge what would happen if they could not be unanimous. They were.
I felt good about it. I feel like it sends a clear message to everybody that you can't just abuse children, especially abuse them to death.
Before their decision, jurors asked for a reading of the testimony from a prison consultant who talked about how much of a threat Aguirre would pose to guards and other prisoners and whether good people could do evil things. Apparently considering those questions on deciding whether Aguirre should receive the death penalty. Aguirre's mother said she still loves her son.
Sabe que lo quiero mucho, que estoy con él, y él sabe que.
Jurors had no comment as they left the courtroom, but the foreperson told the judge after the sentence was read that they were plucked from their daily lives and came together for Gabriel. Reporting live from downtown Los Angeles, Ted Chen, NBC4 News. Chuck, calling back to you.
All right, Ted, and you can find more reaction from today's death penalty sentence and a timeline of what led up to it at NBCLA.com. Just search Gabriel Fernandez.
Now we have some breaking news as News Chopper 4 was over the end of a high-speed pursuit just moments ago in El Monte. The Highway Patrol was chasing a hit-and-run suspect who ended up flying off the road and crashing out near the El Monte bus terminal. Officers treated the man on the scene there until the paramedics got around to showing up, and no word still on his condition.
Powerful winds making a return to Southern California, and with wildfires already burning hundreds of thousands of acres so far, more gusty winds could fan the flames. NBC4's Patrick Hilly along the fire lines in Ventura County, tracking the Thomas fire once again for us.
And in our weather center, meteorologist Anthony Yanis is tracking the winds that are expected to pick up within the next 12 hours or so. Anthony?
And Chuck, I really want to stress how serious the situation is. Many times our weather lulls us to sleep. We've had fairly light winds over the last couple of days, but it's not going to be that way tomorrow. Starting tomorrow morning, we're going to see some strong offshore winds for almost all of Southern California, 20 to 30 miles per hour. The gusts are coming back 40 to 50 miles per hour, and this is widespread in those Santa Ana areas. Specifically for the Thomas fire, they've got 2.5 days firefighters do before these strong northerly winds start to come back. Here we are late Saturday morning with those strong winds moving back over this area. So again, calm winds over the fire, the Thomas fire, for the next couple of days, but it's not going to be that way Saturday. Back to you.
Thank you, Anthony. And an encouraging development now in that fire, the Thomas fire. Evacuations have just been lifted for portions of Santa Barbara County. This includes the area from the 101 freeway to the ocean and from Santa Claus Lane east to Rincon Beach Park. More than 237,000 acres have burned. The fire is still only about 25% contained. 18,000 homes and buildings are still threatened. And one of the biggest concerns is air quality. NBC4's Patrick Healy joins us live from Santa Barbara Harbor tonight. Patrick?
And in fact, Chuck, those returning evacuees are going to discover that the air is still heavy with fire smoke. Look over my shoulder, and you can see that thick cloud that hangs over the Santa Barbara coast from the Thomas fire, now burning in the, well, it's very difficult to see, but the Santa Ynez Mountains in the distance is where the fire is burning. Even here in the harbor, we've been seeing many people wearing breathing masks. For more than a week now, the choking thick smoke of the Thomas fire has been flooding down from the upper reaches of first Ventura County, then Santa Barbara County.
The smoke pretty much right now, it's just bad with the breathing. My throat's been hurting a lot.
We have been measuring some of the highest levels we've ever seen.
Mallory Ham manages air quality monitoring for Ventura County, much of which remains in the throes of air officially deemed unhealthy, even in the coastal plain usually well ventilated by an onshore breeze from the Pacific.
The sea breeze is on the weak side. It's been moving the smoke inland across the coastal plain, but not strong enough to move it up into the hills beyond.
My chest felt like it was, closing up. It felt like I couldn't breathe.
Alexis Pintado told us it was during the fire's intense early days that she went to the emergency room and spent several hours before she was able to return home. Hospitals and clinics in Santa Barbara County now reporting 20 to 50 respiratory cases every day. Smoke has lessened in some areas, but EPA time-lapse mapping shows it remains especially heavy in the Sockton-Ojai Valley, red indicating unhealthy air. Purple is the worst category, hazardous.
And if you're particularly sensitive, you should really consider limiting any time outdoors.
Ham said the biggest smoke concern are the small particulates. A mask rated N95 can stop up to 95% of them, but only when worn properly with a snug fit.
It's kind of hard to wear, but it helps. It keeps you breathing better air and not getting sick.
As it is, the air here in Santa Barbara actually is better today than it has been in recent days, but there is no guarantee how long that will last. The fire at this point is not imminently threatening the inhabited areas along the coast, but it is well established in the forest above, and there is no telling how long it will continue to burn there, continue to send smoke into the valleys and coastal areas below. Live at Santa Barbara Harbor, Patrick Healy, NBC4 News.
And new at 5, frantic moments when a car gets stuck on railroad tracks in Riverside with 2 children inside. As the train bears down on them, a father faced with a terrible decision. He only has time to pull one of his kids out before the collision. Miraculously, the toddler left inside did survive. Riverside police officers say the father was trying to make a left-hand turn when his car became disabled or stalled out on the tracks last night. Despite the major damage to the car, and you can see it is considerable, the toddler only had minor injuries.
Well, San Bernardino police really didn't have very far to go at all to make this pot bust as they served a search warrant at a warehouse just down the street from the police department. NBC4's Tony Shin has some new video of what the officers found inside. Tony?
I want to show you something. This is the main building where investigators say they found nearly 25,000 marijuana plants. They say at times it was surrounded by armed security guards, but this morning officers shut it down. This is what San Bernardino police found as they served a search warrant at this building on Northeast Street. Tens of thousands of marijuana plants being cultivated on 4 floors. Still, some neighbors we spoke to weren't too surprised by the discovery.
I only smell like weed like one time, but my neighbors have been smelling weed since the beginning of this year over there.
San Bernardino police say they got a tip that something illegal was happening at this building, which was once used by Pac Bell.
And in the month of July, the electric bill was in excess of $60,000. So that certainly is indications that this building's being utilized for something.
So detectives launched an investigation and found out that the building was owned by this woman, Stephanie Smith. Investigators say she also owns 2 other properties in San Bernardino, which were raided this morning as well. And police say it appears Smith paid cash for all 3 buildings.
There's no business licensing, there's no permits that were pulled, and yet what is taking place in these is certainly not a legal operation.
Police also raided Smith's home in Pacific Palisades. Back in San Bernardino, investigators took 8 people into custody for their alleged roles in the grow operation. As for the old Pac Bell building, it's right across the street from the police department and just yards away from school district headquarters, leaving some to wonder why anyone would pick this place to grow all this pot.
That's crazy, because if they know what they're doing is illegal and everybody smells it and they know people smell it, why would you do it?
At this point, police aren't saying if they have arrested anyone because they say this is still an ongoing investigation and it's still unclear if this will be a federal case or a state case. Reporting live in San Bernardino, I'm Tony Shin, NBC4 News.
Buena Park police looking for two men who robbed a donut shop overnight. Now, one of the men shot a clerk. Whole thing captured on a security camera. The clerk who was shot is recovering at a hospital. The two suspects who took off with some cash. Coming up, NBC4's Gordon Tokamatsu will have the very latest on the investigation in a live report.
Police have now accused a Westminster mother of killing her own 4-month-old boy last night. And now the infant's father is speaking out, telling us about the circumstances that led to this tragedy. NBC4's Vicky Vargas is in Westminster now with his story. Vicky?
Yeah, Chuck Hun Nguyen was very open with us, spoke with us at length about the baby's mother. He said that at times she had been suicidal. He said she had been physically abused by a former roommate and that she thought she was being haunted by ghosts. He says he left, came back last night, found her collapsed on the floor, the baby still in bed, but he was not breathing. Hun Nguyen is both confused and in mourning.
I have last time with me like almost 4 months.
His only child is gone. Police say the baby's mother is responsible. 29-year-old T. Nguyen has been arrested for homicide.
No, I don't know what. They took her out in jail.
The couple rented a room at this Coronado Street home. They moved in while T was still pregnant. But her boyfriend tells us there were issues with depression. He says T lost her father 1 month before their son was born. During the pregnancy, she had been to the emergency room twice. Last night, they had a fight. Nguyen says she ripped family photos off the wall. He describes her as incoherent.
I just talked to her and asked what happened to her. And she still talks something like she doesn't know who am I.
Nguyen's partner may be a statistic. Orange County mental health experts say 1 in 5 women in this country suffer some sort of depression during pregnancy or after giving birth. They say the symptoms, moodiness, crying, recklessness, are often pushed aside. But they add pregnancy brings on its own stress, and that grief only complicates it.
She asked me, "Can you hold me?" She stand up and she want me to hold her to my arm like this.
Police say T. Nguyen's mental health will be evaluated while she is in custody. Now, here in Orange County, there's a service called OC Link. They can refer you to mental health experts anytime, almost when you can call them, OC Link. And they say oftentimes women are in denial because they just assume that many of these issues are simply part of being pregnant. Live in Westminster, I'm Vicky Vargas, NBC4 News.
All right, Vicky, now take a look at this. Surveillance cameras roll as this car slams into a store. Look at that, in downtown L.A. We'll find out why police say this was no accident. Also, a teacher caught on camera slamming a student to the floor. What the district is now doing after this video surfaced. An historic win in Alabama. Democrat Doug Jones won the special election there, but we'll hear why controversial Republican candidate Roy Moore insists the race isn't over yet.
Washington is buzzing about Alabama and how last night's win by a Democrat makes the Republican control of the U.S. Senate now razor thin, especially when it comes to President Trump's overhaul of the tax system. Democrats want the final vote in the Senate delayed until Senator-elect Doug Jones can be seated. NBC4's Conan Nolan has a lot more on that. Conan?
Hello, Chuck. Well, Roy Moore, the Republican candidate for Senate in last night's election, has yet to concede. He believes there are still provisional ballots out that haven't been counted. The Secretary of State in Alabama says that's true, but not nearly enough to change the election. And as you point out, Democrats in Washington now believe this gives them a good chance of retaking the Senate in next year's midterm elections.
President Trump today downplaying the defeat, that the only reason he had backed the losing candidate in last night's special election was that he needed his vote.
As the leader of the party, I would have liked to have had the seat.
Instead, the deep red state of Alabama went to a Democrat.
We have been at crossroads in the past, and unfortunately, we have usually taken the wrong fork. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you took the right road.
Doug Jones, the first Democrat to win a Senate seat in Alabama in 25 years.
When the people of Alabama elect a senator who runs on a platform of trying to find common ground and reaching across aisles, I think that's a message that both political parties should take heed.
Republican Roy Moore blamed the loss on the multiple charges of sexual misconduct, some with children, all of which he's denied.
is we've been painted in an unfavorable and unfaithful light.
Moore's will also blow to populist renegade and Trump backer Steve Bannon, who on satellite radio today blamed the campaign.
If you get outworked, you're going to lose. And I got to tell you, their ability to get out votes, that's what it comes down to.
Many Senate Republicans said they were relieved with the result.
I couldn't be more happy.
Alabamans didn't want somebody who dated 14-year-old girls.
But now Democrats are demanding the GOP leadership delay its vote on a landmark tax reform package so that the Senate's newest member can weigh in.
No vote on the Republican tax scam until Doug Jones takes his seat in the Senate.
Now, it appears House and Senate Republicans have come together and put forth in their conference committee a tax reform bill that would apparently be voted on as early as next week. More on that on NBC Nightly News at 6:30. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
All right, Conan, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is reportedly pursuing legal action against the person behind fake sexual harassment allegations against him. Now, the smear was first reported by political site Axios. It reported that it had obtained a document alleging sexual harassment allegations against Schumer by a former female staffer. That woman says the claims in the document are completely false and that her signature was forged. She's asking police to investigate.
Hit-and-run mystery now, and it was caught on surveillance video. Police are looking for a driver who intentionally crashed into a store several times and then just ditched the car and took off on foot, but nothing was taken from the store. The bizarre collision was reported around 4 o'clock in the morning on Wall Street in downtown L.A. when the store was closed. No one appears to have been injured.
The NBC4 Wishing Tree is helping grant holiday wishes for folks here in Southern California. Remember this? Last night, we granted a wish for Natasha Allen by paying the college expenses of her daughter, Debrina. She is a senior at Cal State Northridge.
And tonight, Fritz Coleman is out there making people happy live at Plaza West in Covina to grant another wish. Fritz.
Yes, so this is night 3 of the Wishing Tree, Plaza West Covina. Our musical accompanists are the West Coveras from West Covina High School. This is only half the choir. There's 72 of them. Now listen closely. A young woman made a wish for her parents this year. Her parents are a retired CHP officer and a retired nurse. They donate a lot of their money and a lot of their volunteer time to a nonprofit that does work for battered and abused women and children. But we had to perpetrate a scam to get them to come down here to Plaza West Covina because they don't want to fuss made about themselves. So we have started a ruse. You can help us perpetrate that scam with these people shortly after 6 o'clock as we do night 3 of the Wishing Tree. See you then. Oh, and right now, we're going to see the return of the Santa Ana Winds. As a matter of fact, Anthony will tell you they have expanded the red flag warnings. Tomorrow could be a rough day. Anthony, you've got all the details.
Yeah, I agree with you, Fritz. It is going to be tough out there. In fact, this is the view from Sherman Oaks, and everything is nice and calm and quiet right now. You got the valley here. 72 degrees. The winds are light. The humidity still very low at 12%. Hour-by-hour forecast for this evening. We're at 72 right now, mid-60s at 8. A little more of a chilly feel at 11 o'clock this evening. Santa Monica right now is already in the mid-60s, and you see we're ending up in the same spot in the upper 50s at 11 o'clock this evening. So you just see how dry it is right now. But the good news is, and we've seen this now for 3 days in a row, there's no wind gusts out there with the exception of Valencia, and that's only 14 miles per hour. But don't let that lull you to sleep, because here's what's on our way starting tomorrow morning. You can see those strong Santa Ana winds back again. And this time you can see it's even for the IE all the way out to Orange County and off to the south. So it starts tomorrow morning. And look how this is with us all day long. And you see those canyon passes from the IE all the way out to Orange County as we move toward this time tomorrow. So no break whatsoever tomorrow all the way into Friday morning. And so if there's a fire that starts in any of these areas, it can spread very quickly like we've really seen for the last 10 days. So it's dry, it's warm, it's windy. Those strong Santa Anas come back tomorrow. We've got single-digit humidity still and no rain whatsoever inside in the next 7 days. But there is some changes coming this weekend. Let me show you that. Whenever you get these Santa Ana winds, what it does is it takes all the dry air from the desert and it funnels it into Southern California. We've had this for 11 days now. That's why we have the humidity in the single digits, because it's just been so constant. The good news is this is for firefighters, as everyone in Southern California has moved toward Friday into Saturday, is we're going to get that onshore flow back. It's going to be short-lived. It's not here very long because Sunday the offshore winds come back again. We can see those Santa Anas back for the the end of the weekend, but it will increase the humidity and it will drop the temperature. You can see Corona, for the example, for the next couple of days in the lower 80s. Then it's not a drastic drop, but we're at least back in the mid 70s. And again, the feel will be a lot better out there with temperatures in the mid 70s for us and a higher humidity. Otherwise, temperatures for tomorrow, no change whatsoever. A lot of us still in the lower 80s, near record highs for this time of year, but there is some relief coming. But just hold on. We've got to get through tomorrow and Friday morning with those strong Santa Ana winds. Back to you.
Thank you, Anthony. Digital home invasion. Why a watchdog group now says companies like Amazon and Google are using a popular holiday gift to eavesdrop on your family.
And remember this picture, a rabbit rescued from the flames of the Thomas Fire? Well, we're showing you how the rabbit is doing tonight on the road to recovery.
Santa, he's in that truck, teaming up with the U.S. Postal Service and a lot of volunteers to put a smile on the faces of some foster children. Today, Santa led a convoy of 20 postal trucks and delivered more than 2,000 toys to children and family services in Van Nuys.
We want to do everything we can to help every child in the community have a happy holiday and feel loved.
All the toys that were delivered were brought by the postal workers, and this is the 22nd year that they've been delivering toys to foster children.
On the subject of delivering, Target customers will soon be able to order their groceries and receive them the same day. Target announced today it plans to purchase the startup Shipt for $550 million in cash. Shipt partners with a network of brick-and-mortar grocery stores in order to deliver groceries on the same day customers place an order. Shipt will continue to serve its other retail partners.
Just ahead, takedown in the classroom. A teacher is caught on camera slamming a student to the ground. Just ahead, what the school district is now saying about the video.
Also, with investigators now blaming the Skirball fire on a homeless encampment, NBC4 is looking into what the city is doing to tackle the growing homeless issue and to prevent a similar tragedy from happening again.
It didn't have to happen. LA Fire says the Skirball fire off the 405 freeway was sparked by a transient who was cooking in an encampment. As
NBC4's Kim Baldonado reports, a new warning is being issued to keep it from ever happening again.
When it was revealed the wildfire, which destroyed half a dozen homes in the upscale Bel Air neighborhood, was caused by homeless people cooking outdoors, it highlighted the fact homeless encampments are in every part of the city.
We're having this press conference on a city hall lawn where people right now, this is their home today. And so the urgency of today couldn't be any more important.
We asked Mayor Garcetti about the issue during a news conference to tout a newly passed ordinance which will charge developers fees in order to create more affordable housing. But what can the city do about homeless encampments now?
Yes, we have task forces that go out, that work those areas, that we're going to continue to do that. But I'll be honest with you, that's a needle in a haystack. We have so much land to cover.
In response to the Bel Air fire, Councilmember Paul Koretz today introduced a motion to create an emergency hillside fire task force. It would identify all encampments in high-severity fire zones, allow for regular brush clearance, and enforce trespassing and illegal fire laws during times of high fire danger. Mayor Garcetti also said today the city is in the process of hiring more homeless outreach workers, which would more than quadruple the number currently on the streets. In Los Angeles, Kim Baldonado, NBC4 News.
If you saw it, I'm sure you'll remember it for some time. It's the video of this man who is chasing a rabbit trying to save him from the Thomas Fire. Well, today we swung by the Wildlife Center where that bunny is being treated. And the veterinarians there say that she's responding well to treatment. She did have some burns. And while we were there, the man who rescued the rabbit stopped by to check on her.
One being to another being. I don't care about anything else except to save your life.
The Wildlife Center is also treating a bird that fire crews found covered in soot.
Cameras captured a dramatic video of a rescue overnight after a 3-car accident.
Don't move. Is there anybody else in the car with you?
This all happened around 1:30 at the intersection of Melrose and Alta Vista in the Fairfax district. The LAPD says the SUV involved crashed into a wall just a few feet away from a home. In fact, you can see the first responders pulling a woman out of the vehicle through the windshield. At least 2 people were taken to the hospital with injuries.
New at 5, Moreno Valley police say that they have now arrested a person who fired at a police car. Police arrested 23-year-old Jacob Gonzalez yesterday after they spotted his car. They knew that the car he was in was his because the shooting happened on Monday and it was partially captured. And if you've been out to Moreno Valley, you know that they have a citywide camera system. No officers were actually hit. Gonzalez is charged with attempted murder of a peace officer.
In Pacoima, the LAPD investigating a shooting at a taco truck. This happened last night at the intersection of Laurel Canyon and Paxton. The guy was shot in the arm. He will survive. Police are still working on this one. They have not released any information on a suspect at this time.
PBS is now pulling the popular TV show hosted by Travis Smiley from the airwaves after accusations of sexual misconduct. In a statement that was released today, a PBS spokesperson said that several allegations had been brought against Smiley, who hosts the late-night news program on the network. Smiley has not yet commented about the allegations.
The consumer watchdog group says popular home assistance devices like Alexa and Echo may actually be eavesdropping on you. The group has completed analysis of legal patents for the devices. They released their conclusions today. Some fans may be a bit surprised.
The fact is, these companies should be paying you to put these assistants in your home. And the reason is, a review of patents for these home assistants show they're far from there to help you. They're there to track you, to surveil you, and to sell you.
Internet users constantly targeted with ads that try to appeal to individual preferences. But Consumer Watchdog says people may not like this level of intrusion. The companies that make the devices say there are settings to address privacy concerns.
Protesters gathered this morning outside the criminal courts building in downtown Los Angeles. They were demanding the resignation of Los Angeles Unified School Board member Reef Rodriguez. Rodriguez stepped down as board president, but he is still a member of the board, even though he's facing criminal charges involving campaign finance violations. Some parents rallied today outside the courtroom where the Rodriguez case was set for a hearing. Rodriguez is an outspoken advocate for charter schools.
New at 5, a high school teacher in Ohio suspended without pay and is now under investigation after a classroom takedown was caught on camera here. In the cell phone video, the teacher is seen touching the student's arm before tackling him and taking him down to the floor. This happened inside a classroom. The superintendent of the district is calling the teacher's behavior disturbing and unprofessional. Still unclear what prompted the incident, though. The Canton Repository reports the teacher previously had his teaching license suspended in 2015 after being convicted of domestic violence.
We're learning some new details now about the case of a disturbing shark video that shows them dragging a shark behind a boat. It was taken some months back. The video was shot from the back of the boat. Shows the shark being dragged there at high speed. You can tell by the wake. After 4 months of investigating, Florida Fish and Wildlife have officially charged 3 people in connection with this incident, all of them from the Tampa Bay area. They were arrested and now they face felony charges of animal cruelty.
We have new video tonight of 2 deputies in Nevada saving a suicidal inmate's life. This is video from the Nye County Sheriff's Office. It shows the inmate crawling onto the second floor railing and threatening to jump. One deputy tries to stop the inmate, but the inmate apparently slipped free and jumped. That's when another deputy on the ground caught the inmate and cushioned his fall. Both were taken to a hospital as a precaution.
You know, comfort takes all forms when it comes to victims of domestic violence, and today it took the form of pillows. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department coordinated a pillow drive to send to a domestic violence shelter. Now, these pillows will be donated to Option House in San Bernardino.
You are disgraced and have been brainwashed to think this is normal.
Happiness turns into hate. How a moving gift created racist backlash online.
And straight ahead, a 6-year-old goes on a surprise shopping spree, and his grandpa is not too happy about this. How the little guy was able to rack up hundreds of charges with just the click of a button.
Little boy in Florida, learning a big lesson this holiday season, and apparently so are the adults around him.
Yeah, you know, that's what happens when you're a grandfather after he secretly ordered toys from his grandfather's Amazon account. Now, Frank says he was kind of surprised when the toys just started showing up at his restaurant. First, it was a racetrack set, and then an electric McLaren that you could ride around in. When he checked his account, he saw the purchases made by his 6-year-old grandson were around $500 and climbing.
And it has cool lights.
It has good taste.
And it has cool wheels.
I thought, well, that's strange, but maybe my wife is getting Christmas shopping done and accidentally sent it to the restaurant instead of the house.
Well, somebody was getting Christmas shopping done, as Colleen pointed out.
He has good taste.
He has really good taste. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Frank says he's going to raffle off all the toys that his grandson bought, and Jacob will pick out the winning family.
You're going to love this story, too. Baby Jesus at the center of a preschool pageant brawl in Tennessee. And oh, yes, it's all caught on camera. A 2-year-old girl playing a sheep decided the baby Jesus doll was hers, but Mary wasn't having it, and after a brief scuffle, the 3-year-old playing Jesus' mother put the sheep in a headlock. A couple of cows, and Joseph looked on as the fight escalated when Mary tried to bury the sheep's face in the manger. Merry Christmas.
That's another reason you should always take a camera when you go to one of those with the kids. You never know what's going to happen. A holiday hazard, knockoff toys that could put a child at risk, as the NBC4 I-Team tonight tells you how to spot a fake one.
Then pinned and pepper sprayed. Officers take a man down at a transit station, and it's what they did next that changed the policy in their police department.